Pastor, you're live.
Welcome to Upsurge. Real people, real conversations, real questions, real answers. Upsurge, where the surge is always up. Um, so I'm here this evening with Jadeja. She is filling in for Alexi, our co-host. Jadeja, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Pastor. Thank you. Thank you.
Praise, praise God, praise God. So we have uh, wonderful panel this afternoon. We'll be discussing the transition. Transition meaning that bump period that is between being adult.
I th- all right, I think Pastor just froze. We'll just give him a minute. Here we have with us 5 wonderful guests who will be sharing their perspective on the transition from secondary school to post-secondary school. Really, really excited for today. And I was talking with these guys earlier, so I can't wait for you guys to just hear their wonderful perspectives. So first we have well, I don't know if it's the same for you guys how I see it, but at the top here, we have Nathan, and Nathan is a grade 12 student at Crawford Adventist Academy, and he sings. He's also interested in music, and his career path of interest is architecture. Next, we have Joan, who is a high school teacher at Bahamas Academy in Nassau, Bahamas. To the bottom, we have with us Rochelle, who is a bilingual account manager in the nonprofit sector. And we have mother and daughter. So we have Clarissa, who has an undergraduate in global affairs, and her mom, Kathia, who is also here with us today, has a degree in counseling and an emphasis in social work, as well as a master's in deaf education. So thank you, all of you guys, for being here today, and I'm super excited to get started with these questions. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So speaking of the transition from high school to college, it's one that I mean, not everybody makes, but it's a very common career path. Or sorry, just a very common path of life, one that we all know. You know, when we enter high school, you hear them talk about college, you hear them talk about university, and that transition can sometimes be smooth, sometimes be a little bit rocky for some, but I guess we're gonna get to hear some of their perspectives today. So let's start with Rochelle. Rochelle, what was the transition from high school to post-secondary like for you?
I think the biggest thing for me was identifying what I wanted to do, which was not the easiest feat. I kind of really had to get some support from my teachers, from guidance counselors, from family members to help me kind of identify the area of study that I wanted to go into. And then once I started university, I think the biggest thing was learning, identifying my learning style, what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and then just kind of allowing that discovery process to continue throughout my years of schooling. But that first year was definitely a huge adjustment. And then
Right.
as time went on, it got a little bit easier.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Rochelle. Carissa, did you want to add on to that? What was your experience transitioning like?
I definitely think that any kind of change is scary, but definitely to say that um, it's a time where when you're handed so much freedom and responsibility, you learn a lot about yourself and what you can and can't handle, and what your learning style is and what teaching styles that you need.
Right. I really liked how you highlighted learning and teaching styles because I think understanding your learning style can really help you in that transition, understanding even what career path is best for you. I want to move over to Nathan. What are some of your concerns that you have during this transition? I know that you haven't made the transition yet. You're a grade 12 student at Crawford. So do you have any concerns for that step?
I do have concerns, obviously. But my main concern would be the experience, just because you can learn a lot from your environment and where you're learning and whatnot. So the way it is online right now, I believe my experience won't be as good as it can be if I was in a classroom state.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, right. And thank you for touching on that as well. You know, we just talked about learning styles and everyone learns differently. So, you know, while this whole online new way of teaching and learning, it can work for some, but for some individuals, it might not work that great for. And some individuals are more hands-on and tactile learners, so it might be very challenging for them. So I can see why that would be a concern for you. Let's get some insight on this whole online learning that's going on right now. How are you all feeling about it? Do you feel that it's an effective method of both learning and teaching? And anyone can chime in. I know we have some people who didn't speak yet, so we'd love to hear from you both also.
Joan talking.
Is a new for most persons. Um, as I reflect on my school, most persons at the beginning of the coronavirus, the pandemic, we had teachers and students who were petrified. Um, it was like a new relationship being formed per se.
Right.
And so there were persons who were floored by the whole, the novelty of it, and students who were emotionally traumatized by simply not being in the classroom setting. You had teachers who had breakdowns, meltdowns, because they just could not feel or touch their students.
Right.
And many cases were reported in the States where teachers were driving past students' homes just to get a feel or just to spot them.
Wow.
And so this online learning is new for many.
Mhm.
Many persons are just becoming familiar with the technology, the devices, the learning platforms. Some schools have not decided whether they're going to use Teams, Microsoft Teams, or they're
Right.
going to use a different system. So there is a dilemma even with the online platforms that are being used. And so while many embrace it and many are equipped and technically savvy, there are others who are petrified, others who
Mhm.
are having problems. And
Right.
so because of that, we have the dichotomy of not knowing, not doing, meltdowns, etc. So
Mhm.
it all depends on the available mindset and tools and resources. Online learning can be beneficial to some and not for some. There are many students who are sidetracked because they are not in the physical classroom setting. So
Mhm.
they are diverted to other activities. And because of the distance and the unavailability of the teacher in her or his physical stance, we are having problems. But others embrace it.
Mhm.
So there's a dichotomy.
Right, right. And I really liked how you touched on both sort of perspectives, because while there are a lot of people who, have really done a good job adapting to the whole online learning, there are a lot of people who have not, students and teachers included. One thing that is, I just feel like poses as sort of a challenge, maybe for some, is that doing online schooling, you're going to be most likely at your home. And when we think of home, home is that place where we used to go back to after school, after work. It's that place of, comfortability. So now having to do all of, that learning, all of that work from home in an environment where you once, thought as your comfort space, a space to just unwind. You spoke about distractions and diversions. That can be a really big distraction and diversion for a lot of people. Just maybe not wanting to learn because they're sitting on their bed and they just feel like sleeping. It's really big, and it's just a really big step, and something that a lot of people have to adapt to, whether it's an easy adaptation or a difficult
Mhm.
adaptation. It's a really big step for everyone. So, a question that I want to move on to is, speaking of the transition from high school to post secondary. Um, I want to know from Nathan if you have any, because everyone here, except for you, but you're going to get there, don't worry, has moved on from high school to post secondary. So, do you have any questions for anyone here as to, something that you're wondering about post secondary? If you have any concerns that you just want to iron out right now from people who have been there, done that, experienced it. Maybe you're afraid of making a mistake and you want to know from somebody who's already made that mistake. So, any questions to throw at us?
Um, Nothing comes to mind at the moment, but I do know that there is a lot that will hit me all at once, really quickly. So, and right now, I think my main focus was trying to come up with the funds, right, to
Right.
for like first year and whatnot. And yeah, so I started working again for all this. So I guess how one question would be, how were you guys able to cope with not being able to bring up money at a certain time and whatnot?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Does anyone want to go ahead and answer Nathan's question about the funds?
I will jump in with that, Nathan. Just being on the side of once being a student myself, and then being a faculty member, and now being a mom, I can say that I will tell you, apply for every single scholarship that you can get your hands on. Do not ever think that you're not qualified. I've seen where students have immediately said, "Oh, I'm not qualified for that, so I'm not even going to try." And I was one of those students. I remember when I was a faculty member, and the chair for my department came to me and she said, "Kathy, here's a Fulbright scholarship, and I want you to apply for it." And I immediately, I mean, this is, in the island of Jamaica, they only chose 3 people. And I immediately went, "Oh, I'm not qualified. There's no way I'm going to get that." And she kept pressuring me. And eventually, just to get her off my back, I applied. And lo and behold, I was one of 3. Well, that year they chose 4. They got extra funding, and so I was one of 4 that got chosen. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would even qualify. And I've had friends, I've seen students who have gone through where they've just said, because other people have never applied. All these scholarships are out there, and because people continue to think that they would never apply. Carissa has gone through, and she said, "Mom, I've heard her say it. Mom, I'm not smart enough. I don't think I'm, of all the people, I know of people who are so smart." And I'm like, "Baby girl, you're one of them. Come on, apply. You just never know." And she's gone through it. So scholarships are out there. Never ever disqualify yourself just because you don't think you're good enough. Apply to 100. 2 of them may come through. You never know. But just don't ever count yourself out. Put yourself out there, do the work, and something has to work out for you. That's what I'd say.
Thank you so. Oh, I made it. No, thank you so much, Kathia, for sharing. That was really, really good. And I think a lot of the times we do doubt ourselves, and we think as scholarships as like something so big. Like there are some scholarships out there that really don't require too much, and it's like because people think scholarships are like, oh, like so many people are going to apply for them, the qualifications are so hard, why even bother? Like what, just a waste of time type of thing. But it's like, no, like there are a lot out there that are actually just waiting for you to kind of just be like, oh, here, I'm gonna bless you because I know that you are a student and you're just trying to go about your educational journey, and there's stuff out there for you. You just have to kind of go search, find it, ask people, find the resources, do your research. There's a whole lot out there, so thank you for sharing that. And don't. Yep.
One last thing. Sometimes we tend to shoot out the small ones and only go for the big ones. But if you get a bunch of small ones, they add up.
Right. Exactly. And I don't think there's anywhere saying, oh, you already got a scholarship, so I'm sorry, you can't get this one type of thing. Just go for a whole bunch of them. And what if you get all of them? And yeah, that compounds, that adds up. So there you go. Go for the small ones, go for the big ones, just go for it. Just do it, like Nike. So you never know. Does anyone else have
I'm back. I don't know if you could hear me now.
Yes, I can hear you much better now, Pastor. How is it going on your end?
It's good. Just had some technical glitches there, but praise God, it's started out.
Nice.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I have a couple of questions coming in from social media. I wasn't listening to the conversation, but obviously some folks have been listening. I have a question here from Melissa. She's from Jamaica, and she's asking, okay, so she's saying, I dropped out of college and have lost interest because my business is doing well. Do I need to go to college in order to be successful? That's her question. Wow. So she went to college. She said she dropped out, and she's asking if she needs to go to college in order to be successful. I don't know which panelist would want to answer that question for us.
All right. Do we have anyone who'd like to shed some light on that?
Many people have, an elementary education, and they are deemed successful. They have accumulated wealth, financial wealth, that is. But you do not want to limit yourself by not having formal education. You see, having or amassing a lot of material things is not the end in all. You having a college education, you have not only prepared yourself for, you already have financial wealth, but when you have college education, that sets you apart. That makes you marketable. If you should have, if you should lose all the financial wealth that you have, a pandemic comes and affects your business, you may not have requisite skills that can help you to advance in a time of financial dearth. And so it behoves you to equip yourself academically so that you can be marketable. You can use that education to think of other ways that you can advance in this world.
All right. Thank you so much, Joan, for sharing. Pastor?
Yeah, you could. Questions when Sister Scavella started speaking, a lot of follow-up questions are pouring in.
Wow.
I'll get to them later. But you could continue with your questions, Jadeja, and
Okay,
I
make a
will
point
come
to
back to
wrap.
you with what the folks are saying in social media.
Yeah, most definitely. I think Rochelle wanted to say something.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to touch on that because I think the idea of success, it looks different for different people. So if you own your own business and you are content, then I don't necessarily think it's necessary for you to go back to school. Now, if you are owning
Oh, I think Rochelle froze. We'll just give her a minute to hopefully come back. Sorry about that, everyone. But did anyone want to go ahead and backpack off of that question, or if anyone else had any thoughts?
Yeah, I did. I had some thoughts on it.
Okay, go ahead.
I think it also depends on your goal. Like, my goal is to become an architect, right? And
Right.
when I achieve that goal, I am deeming myself successful, right? So if your goal was to own your own business and it has become successful and you can support yourself on that and whatnot, then I believe you've achieved your definition of success. Like, I don't think success is something that we should always generalize. Like, it should be what you believe is
Mhm.
your success.
Mhm. And I think that's a great answer as well. I think before Rochelle cut out there, she was saying that success looks different for everyone. So it really, and like you were saying, Nathan, it really just all depends on your goal. I do think it is great to have sort of different things under your belt, whether it's the just education of how to own and successfully run your own business, and then also like what Joan was saying, if things should go under, knock on wood, because we hope that it wouldn't, because we want everybody to be doing good. But if something should go wrong, do you have a plan B type of thing? And what would that plan B look like? Is plan B just as good as plan A type of thing? So it's just like, I think, in life, just having just backup plans really, and not just putting like all of your eggs in one basket. But however, also everyone's life is different, and I think that you have to do what is best for you at that time, because if you're in the midst of even just starting, you have to start out somewhere. So if you're in the midst of developing a plan A, and to go and get a plan B and C, to just stop what you're doing with plan A and then go develop a plan B and C, that might not make any sense at the time either. So I really just think it depends on where you are in life. So yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. hopefully Rochelle comes back. We'd really love to have her back again. But a question that I would like to move on to, we were giving Nathan some, or we were answering his question, sorry, regarding post-secondary school. So we were kind of getting into advice, which is really good because the advice that some of you might have may help someone else who is listening, who has not made the transition yet, or maybe who has made the transition, but something in your advice might be transferable to their daily life today. So let's talk about some skills that we think are necessary to be successful in that transition to post-secondary school. So what kinds of skills do you guys think that, as a student transitioning out of high school to post-secondary needs to have and needs to maybe like work on in high school before they get to post-secondary?
I would say definitely responsibility over yourself helps you through so many things in life, whether it be a job or school. But I also think and this is something that was a priority for me from when I was younger. There are a lot of tips that maybe teachers will either give or you can find them online to find out what your learning style is. It's really important to take tests like that so that you get an idea of how you can work with yourself and how you can manage yourself, because the more you know of yourself, the easier it will be for you moving forward in education, instead of kind of following the path everyone else is taking, or following the
Right.
path your teachers are telling you to take, or your advisors are telling you to take. Because knowing yourself, kind of, you can be like, no, actually, I think this is the best path for me.
Mhm. Right. So thank you for that. I think you touched on two really great ones. You talked about responsibility at the beginning, and then you also talked about, learning styles and just knowing who you are. I think you mentioned there are various surveys online that you can take, and that will kind of help you to gauge, okay, this is how I learn, this is my personality, this is who I am. And then from there, it would help you to decide on your career path. And that's important because if you had maybe 4 career paths in mind that you're kind of stuck between which one, and then maybe you go and do a survey like that, understanding a little bit more about yourself, then you would have a better idea to narrow it down and be like, oh, okay, these are my interests, but I think, this is a career path that I would do better and thrive in. So that was a really good point as well. We have Rochelle back. Welcome back, Rochelle.
Sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. You got cut off there, but did you want to finish up what you were saying? We didn't get to hear the end of it.
Sure, I'll just finish quickly. I just had wanted to say that I think that for the question that was asked, I think it's important to know that there are, as I mentioned, different views and definitions of success. And if you found a career option that is that you're very passionate about, then I don't think it's necessary that you need to go back to school. I don't think that is something that you need to feel that you absolutely have to do. That doesn't mean that you have to write it off. Later on, you might find another passion that you might decide, now I do feel motivated to go to school about learning this, or it might be something that will be able to strengthen your existing business. I just think it's important to know that if you've kind of already found your passion, then be open to that and live in that and be content with that. People don't necessarily need to go to university to find their passion. There's trades, there's college level, and some people are natural born entrepreneurs. So I think it's important that we broaden our ideas of what success looks like. And if that means running your own business, then more power to you.
Jadeja, I have quite a few coming in. I don't know if you could squeeze this social media question in quickly.
Let's hear it.
I want to take this one. Okay. Well, someone is making a comment. We forget to push the trades in our schools. We make students feel that if they don't have a university degree, they are a failure. So that's just a comment coming in from social media. But a question that is coming to our WhatsApp chat from someone from Belize. They're saying, this person is saying that their son Okay, let me paraphrase the long thing here. Okay, so the gist is their son went to college, got a scholarship to go to college with 3.9 GPA from high school, and then he started to he got addicted to computer games. He got addicted to computer games. This person is asking if anyone can share how does how do we get over this addiction from computer games. I mean, this is so sad. This young man seemed to have gone off to college, pretty good GPA, and then he got hooked on computer games. He has a long thing here. He would stay up all night building a castle or fighting something there, and he got hooked. And then that was just it for him.
Right.
How does someone bounce back from this kind of addiction?
Well, we have a counselor in the building, and she just looks like she's itching. Like she just looks like, this is my cue. So I'm just gonna hand it right over to Kathia.
To me, that sounds, I'm just jumping in just to say that sounds like that's a whole other discussion. Since we're talking about the transitions in this discussion, I would say definitely one, he needs to find his school counselor, because that's a whole other discussion that doesn't belong in this room. That speaks to kind of what Carissa had mentioned here. He went off to college. He didn't quite know about responsibility, he sounded like he probably got overwhelmed with schoolwork, got involved in just kind of relaxing a little bit with enjoying his freedom that he had at college. And there's so many things there. I mean, I need to kind of know what's going on with his background to be able to answer that question. And I'd love to be able to answer it maybe off the air. But I would say first step to not take up any time here is he needs to get in touch with his school counselor. Any school that he would be at would have a counseling department. And I would definitely suggest that he or his mother contact the counseling department and he get the help that is definitely available to him.
Yeah, I would personally say that in situations like that, finding a balance, finding multiple things that you're interested in so that you're not solely focused on one thing. Because I know I've seen a lot of friends that they go into college and it's really stressful and like you're just like, I don't want to do the work, I don't want to do the work, especially in this time with a pandemic going on. You're kind of like locked in your room and you have the ability to do other things. So you find other things that will help you to escape from the stress of friendships or the stress of work, and you kind of use it as a form of escapism. So finding a balance outside of those video games, not just, oh, let me throw myself back into work, but also finding a balance between things and making a schedule for yourself. So it's not like don't play video games anymore. It's play video games for this set amount of time, but also find another thing that you're passionate about, and also find in the work that you're doing things that you are passionate about. Because if you're passionate about the work that you're doing, if you're passionate about the things that you're writing, then it'll be easier for you and you'll be excited about it.
But it sounds like he already has an addiction that is set in. Yeah. There's a pattern there that needs to be broken. That's all. So he needs to get in touch with, long story short, counseling department.
Got it.
Yeah.
And
And I
that's
was,
the answer to the question. Get in touch with your counseling department. Okay.
Pastor, I was just thinking, could that addiction be channeled into him creating video games? You know, he has that passion. I mean, he loves that. I'm not a guidance counselor. I stand for, little correction, but couldn't that energy be channeled into the creation of video games? And a lot of money is in that.
I mean, yes, all of that could be channeled. And I mean, and that tends to be the thing that a lot of folks think, oh, well, that's the addiction. So let's turn it into something good, but we first
Yeah,
need to find out what's causing the addiction.
addiction.
And so in order to find out what's the root issue, I
Right.
mean, once again, I did that
Oh, did we lose her?
Yes.
Oh dear.
topic.
That's all right. Oh, they're back. They're back. We lost you guys for a bit, but you're back now.
Okay.
Oh,
I
did
don't
you just wrap
Yeah,
up?
Jadeja, so that's it
Okay.
for now from social media. So
Okay.
you can continue
Wonderful.
with your questions.
I really liked what all of you guys said, but something that Carissa said that I really wanted to highlight. She talked about just having that downtime and that balance. So, having school, but then you kind of need something to escape from because school can get very stressful, can get very challenging. So she talked about having that balance via a schedule, and I'm so happy that you brought that up because just during my time in post-secondary and out of post-secondary, I've really been able to sort of figure out what works best for me in terms of just my work style, and a schedule is something that just really works for me. Just a to-do list, writing things down, and it helps you to have that balance. So doing work for this amount of time, okay, then scheduling time to just relax and calm down, and then getting back to the work. And that's also a way of establishing discipline within your life, which brings us back to what we were talking about before. Rochelle, that was kind of when you chipped out a little bit, but we were talking about just advice for anyone making that transition, and we were talking about specifically skills that are necessary. So, does anyone have any suggestions on skills or just general advice to someone who is maybe making that transition to post-secondary, or who is in post-secondary and having a difficult time just staying focused, like the gentleman that we were just talking about?
Well, to answer the first part of your question, I think it's important that we know that you don't have to have it all figured out. You start high school, you start post-secondary really young. You're still figuring out who you are as a person, and it's difficult to kind of narrow down what you want to do forever. So, you know what? Take some time, do some soul searching, try to identify, what do I like? What am I passionate about? Try and pick courses that align with your interests. A lot of times people will say, no, you need to do things that will make money. And of course, earning an income is important. But oftentimes they say if you chase your passions, you will see opportunities come along the way. And, I worked for 4 years as a paralegal. And then I went back to school. I did a post-grad in international development. And that was aligned kind of with what I had been studying before, but I'm still, finding new career options, finding new things that I'm interested in, and really on the pursuit of finding that career that I will want to stick in with long term. So I just think, recognize that that it is a process. It's an ongoing process. You don't need to figure it out right away. Remove that pressure and that burden from yourself.
Thank you, Rochelle.
Okay. Yes, you asked about skills for post-secondary.
Yes.
It is essential that the college student hone the skills of time management. Some of them were already discussed. Stress management. Now, how does one hone the skill of stress management? The old adage, no play, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. It's important that that student has regular exercise, rest, good nutrition. Time management is important. And the problem that that person on social media, his child, might have evolved from is how we manage this time.
Mhm.
And so that weekly schedule, studying, the whole matter of management, and then study skills. A lot of our children do not know how to study. And so even some of the best high school students have not always developed good study habits,
Right.
the best ones. Then you have money management. It is important for students to have the experience in budgeting, handling funds. So you're going into college,
Right.
you need to know how to manage that $100 pocket money that you got to let it last for the
Yeah.
month.
Oh yeah.
So these four are essential skills. There are other skills, but these four are the essential skills that our post-secondary students should have. I
Mhm.
reiterate them: time management, stress management, study skills, and money management.
Right. Thank you. Nathan, did any of those like stand out to you as a high school student? Of course, we talked about, not having it all figured out, but hearing all those skills, did those kind of add to like to-do list of, okay, maybe this is something that I need to revisit. Maybe this is something that I need to look deep into, so that making this transition, I have this skill down pat, so that maybe I'll have a bit of a smoother time.
Yeah, they did stand out to me just
Mhm.
because it's something I'm still trying to master
Right.
myself. But I've always believed that these are things that I could have been taught since I was in like grade one.
Right.
So these are things that could have been implemented in my learning since forever.
Mhm.
And I've always wondered why they're not in like education, normal education, like just coming up from elementary all the way up to high school, because I didn't learn it at school. Like I learned it at home. Like
Right.
after asking my parents, "Oh, if you give me $100, how would I work with it?" Like my mom works she's an account. She works at the bank, right? So I was always around money in a way, so I was always learning off of her how to put aside like 60% of the money you got for savings and whatnot, and another 20 for yourself and stuff like that. So I'm still trying to work on all of that, but I believe it should be implemented in everything, like just learning from since forever,
Yeah.
because that's something that I wanted to learn, but I couldn't learn,
Right.
right? That's something I wanted a teacher to tell me about without me
Mhm.
having to ask for them to tell me about it. I wanted it
Right.
to be there already.
Basic life skills. We should
Yes.
just know that stuff. That's
Yeah.
what, they should be teaching us. For sure. That's so fair. I
Yeah.
definitely agree with you. Pastor.
Yeah. So this one here,
Oh, boy.
this question here is one that kind of hits home. It's one that I was thinking about. This person is asking for for the top five, the top five best careers, or they said best, but the most marketable careers. And that's interesting, right? Because the other day I was asked to speak to some grade five students at a primary school in Jamaica. And so I asked them, where do they see themselves the next 10 years? What the career path that they would like to take
Everybody want to be
going into
doctor.
adulthood? And I was surprised by the answers. Nobody wanted to be engineer or
No.
pastor or teacher. They wanted to be a YouTuber. That was the top one, like YouTuber. And there's another ticker, tick. I don't remember, but something. But YouTube and TikTok, those were the ones that the one that was a career path. So this person wants to know the top 5 most trending careers now. Want to go after college, but they don't know what to study. Top 5 educators.
Very subjective, opinionated, depending on your perspective, your background. Oh my goodness. You know, there's, for me, like, there's so many, like, you know, this world is so big. And top 5, I think every career / job, like, plays a part into this society type of thing. If we just had business owners, or if we just had doctors, you know, what about everyone else? Like, you know, we need everybody else to do all the other types of stuff. So I think that's why, you know, the Lord made us with gifts. He blessed us with different gifts so that we can all be great at different things and go to a career path that really suits us and really that would be best for us. That's my opinion, though. I'd like to open up the floor.
That's a dangerous question. Simply because, I mean, I can say the top 5 for what I think are in the world, even if I said the top 5, but that does not suit that person. And then they go into the career that's even the top 1 in the world. And then they're unhappy. They're miserable, right? They could be making the most money in the world and then they are miserable. It doesn't make sense that you go into a career and then you're unhappy for the rest of your life. What? Right? I refuse to tell anyone to go into a career and they get up every morning and they're miserable with themselves, they're miserable with their coworkers, they're unhappy with their families, they're unhappy with their kicking the dog. They're, you know, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Go into a career where you are happy, where you're pleased to go into the office. Whether your office is the room next door or an hour away, as long as you are happy to be doing what you're doing, then that is going to be the best career in the world. And that is what I would have to say. I don't know if anyone else has. I mean,
so
I can be happy doing what I'm doing, but somebody else may hear it and say, that is the worst thing in the world. How could you get up and do that? But I'm happy, right? And that is the point. Best career is what you're happy doing.
And would you want a doctor that wasn't happy?
Exactly.
Or would you want an engineer that didn't like what they were doing? They're going to cut corners
in the building, fall through floors.
Yeah.
So someone actually corrected me in social media. It's TikToker.
Yeah.
I don't know what is that, but yeah, it's a career. YouTuber and TikTokers seem to be the careers that the younger generation, like the primary school kids, that's what they're looking at.
Yeah,
maybe it's more of an occupation, something that they do, a career. That's another topic for another day. But hey, like we said, it's, you know, what makes you happy, right?
Aptitude and passion.
Right. But you know, you guys, is there anything that you wish you knew before you you know, went to post-secondary, or before you got into your career, or even just in general along the whatever path of whatever area of life you're at right now? Is there anything that you just wish you knew sooner? I know Nathan was talking about, you know, stuff that he just feels like should have been taught that would be helpful now. So is there anything that you just, you know, wish you knew that would have just been so helpful in the transition in your career, in whatever area of life you're at right now?
I guess for me, and I was going to tell Nathan before the previous question was asked, and something that I am learning at my age is how to take care of myself, how to put myself first. And learning that that is not a selfish thing to think. I just told my students, believe it or not, it was our devotion and it went on for about an hour discussion. But I just told my students that yesterday, that it is okay to take care of ourselves. Self-care is not a selfish thing. And that is something that I am just starting to do. I am in the helping profession. I am somebody who likes to take care of others, and I'm a pleaser. And a pleaser means that I do things and I say yes, even when I should be saying no. And I say yes to things that make me feel uncomfortable. Even though I tend to be very assertive and I tend to speak out for things, and that's the other thing I wish I could tell Nathan to do. It's okay to be assertive, not aggressive, but to be assertive. If your teacher gives you a grade that you know you don't deserve, follow up with them. Go to them and say, Miss, Sir, can you please explain this grade to me? I know the answer should be this. Can you explain it to me? We are told a lot of times not to question authority, right? Especially coming from a West Indian background. We're told a lot of times not to question authority, that that's the grade you have and that's okay. And I will tell you, don't do it. It's all right. If you know you studied and you want to question the grade that you have, as long as you are respectful, it's okay to be assertive, not aggressive, be assertive. And go to that teacher and say, can you please explain why I got the grade that I got? Because I do believe that I should have gotten so and so, right? So that's one thing I'll tell you. But also that self-care is not selfish and nothing is wrong with it, without going on too much. Those are the two things I wish I had known earlier in life.
Definitely want to say, as someone who is a huge self-care person, as mommy well knows, I'm a caretaker, but I also feel it's important to take care of yourself. I went into college and I didn't eat well at all. Just forgot to eat, wasn't eating for hours. And just sleep wise, I know they said beforehand, oh yeah, you're gonna sleep at really late hours because you're studying and stuff like that. It's not always studying. You will just forget yourself in a sense. I stopped exercising, I stopped sleeping well, I stopped eating well, and you don't want to do that. It is not beneficial to you at all. So always remember, always remind yourself and the people around you to eat well, sleep well, and take care of yourselves, because the results will be shown in the work that you do.
Yes, I think, oh my goodness, that's so important. We've been talking about just practical skills, like academic skills, like discipline, understanding yourself. But, self-care, simple as it sounds, if you're not caring for yourself, you can't do anything really. You can't have discipline. You can't be understanding yourself if you are not eating properly, because you're just going to be hungry and you're just going to be all over the place. If you're super tired and you're not getting sleep, that causes a whole host of other problems. And if that's affecting your health, it's going to affect your ability to function and all sorts of types of things. So self-care is so, so, so important. And even though it sounds like something so, so simple and so obvious, I'm really, really glad that you all brought it up. Something else that we didn't bring up. I'm so sorry. Hold that thought though. Pastor, how much time do we have? What's time looking like?
So we have 10 minutes to go. We started
Okay.
a bit late, so we have 10 minutes to go. I'm
Okay.
kind of stalling some of these questions that are rolling in. Yeah.
Okay. One question that I really just wanted to throw out really quickly is, what role or where does God come in your career journey or in life's journey? Looking at it from a broad scale. And if anyone really wants to just share, an experience that they had where, they felt like God really just guided them at a time when they were not so sure. Please feel free. The floor is open.
God is everything to me. As a student just out of high school, I was at a crossroads. I didn't know what my career would be. Initially, I wanted to become a nurse, and that did not pan out because I was very young finishing high school. And when I applied to Kingston School of Nursing, I had the qualifications. The letter came back that I am too young. I cannot be accepted. Therefore, I cannot live on the because I cannot live on the dorm. And so I said, okay, but at this age, I can try the police force because I just wanted to do something. And I was fascinated by this writer. Her name, I can't recall now, but she was the first um, motorcycle, female motorcycle rider, motorcyclist in Jamaica. And so I envisioned myself being that rider and being that bad police girl. And I was going to make a name in Jamaica. My mother took me to Kingston. I'm just trying to, it's a long story, so I'm going to try to make it brief. And I got there because of traffic, I got to the examination late. And in my mind, I knew I would have aced the exam. And I was turned down because I was late. This is all God's planning. And the police inspector that I went to get a new date for the exam said to me, don't worry, behind every dark cloud is a silver lining. And I have a devotional entitled that, Behind Every Dark Cloud is a Silver Lining. Eventually, a week later, my uncle impressed my father, a non-Adventist, to send me to West Indies College. I didn't want to go. I was an Anglican.
Wow.
But I saw God's hand in that. When I went to West Indies College, I only had Bahamian roommates. Eventually, Bahamian roommates became my best friends.
Wow.
My roommate was leaving after finishing college now. My roommate said to me, Joan, I need you to take my place. There's no English teacher at the school. We cannot find one. Please come and fill in for me until I finish my master's.
Wow.
I went there to teach. I met my husband. The trajectory of my life would have been completely different.
Right.
I would have probably dead now, based on the life I was fascinated by.
Right.
And so I use that as the marker for God just channeling and making that possible, that I am a Seventh-day Adventist Christian dating this information.
Amen. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. In your story, I think you touched on some really important points. Sometimes when we have a certain goal and it doesn't work out, we throw a fit because it's just like, well, this is what I wanted to do and why isn't it working type of thing. Not realizing that sometimes we try and run our own life and we try and take things into our own hands and we forget who should be really in control. We forget to put our life in God's hands, and he's the one who really knows us, and he has a plan for us, and we just kind of sometimes come up with our own plan and think that's the best thing, but it's really not. So I really just liked how your story highlighted experiences that you were really interested in some things, but it didn't quite work out, but God still used that to just direct you onto the path that was really meant to be, and things still ended up working out. Sometimes when things don't work out, we just feel like it's the end, but we have to remember that, God's still using us through our failures, through our ups, through our downs. So thank you so much for sharing your story. And I know that is definitely going to bless somebody. Did anyone else want to share a time when God really just directed them along their journey?
Yeah, for me, especially now with all this going on, I'm the type of person that doesn't like to back out of a situation.
Right.
Or like, if I'm given a task, I probably won't tell you that I can't do it. You know,
Right.
I'd probably just keep trying my best, absolute best to do it. And I think one verse, First Corinthians 10 verses 12 and 13, that that really helped me understand the point of God showing us a way out. Because around, like, if I'm gonna just say the verse. Yeah. So if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you do not fall. No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear, but when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. So when I read this, I don't just see temptation. You know, I also see any situation that you come across, right? God will always provide a way out for you based on whether you can handle it or not, right? So for me, I've had to learn that I can't always handle every situation that's come across me, and when God gives me a way out, it's usually the right way to go, right? So I've honestly had to try and break down my own character in order to understand that point that, you know, if I have faith that God is showing me the right way, you know, He will always be faithful in a sense. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. That's powerful. And someone gave a shout out to you, a cheer, saying yay to our uh, grade 12 class president at Crawford.
Oh,
Congrats,
Wow.
Nathan, as the grade 12 class president. Your teachers and your classmates, some are watching and they're cheering you along. Congratulations.
Nathan, you forgot to include that in your bio. What's going
Yeah.
on? You like
I
didn't include
wasn't
the whole story.
I wasn't thinking about it too much. You know, it's been a rough grade 12 year.
All good, but that's really amazing. Class president, congrats. That's big. I mean, it might not seem that big to you, but it reflects on your character, so that's really great. Pastor?
So we are out of time. We usually finish by asking each guest just for, well, it's quite a bit of you. So I'll give you each 30 seconds. Someone is watching this show who is discouraged. Someone is discouraged. Someone is about to give up. Someone went to college, fell out. Someone didn't make the grades in order to go to college. Someone went to college and can't get a job. Someone got the job, lost the job. We are living in challenging and tough times. Is there a word of encouragement that you could share with someone who's watching this evening who wants to hear something that would cheer them along? 30 seconds. I will start with the dynamite duo.
I will say that to those people who decided that going to college wasn't right for them, that is a hard decision to make, and a lot of people will probably may look down on you for it, despite the fact that they shouldn't. You should be proud of yourself for making that extremely hard decision, for giving up something that was most likely planned in your future for a long time. And if you were passionate about the coursework that you were going into, it's hard giving up a passion if you fall out of love with it. So just love yourself. Remember to love yourself. Remember to believe in yourself, and remember yourself at the center of it all, and not give yourself up.
Thanks, Mom.
I guess it's difficult to think of everything that we've spoken about today. and to roll it all back into 30 seconds. But I guess what I would touch on is just coming back to just loving yourself and feeling strongly about what and following your dreams. Just kind of piggybacking on what Carissa has said. I know there's a generational gap here in this room when I look at the faces that are here. And I did feel strongly about the individual who did ask the question about if she should go back to school or not. And there was a lot of opinions in the room. Some I know Joan felt strongly about, yes, go back to school because you'll be marketable. And the younger folks in the room said, hey, no, follow your dreams. You should, if you're happy where you are, then go for it. And I know, just thinking about it, I look at the gap in the room, and I fall probably smack dab in the middle. And I know the older generation would think, you know, your success lies in your educational background, and the younger generation coming up, your success lies where you're happy. And I would just kind of think, you know, I don't want to say devil's advocate, but just always have that plan B, as Jada had said. Always have your plan B. Invest in yourself, invest in your happiness, take care of you. Don't think about what other people are going to think. As long as you are doing what makes you happy, as long as you feel strongly about the goals that you're setting for yourself, then don't worry about what the naysayers are saying. Focus on your goals, focus on your happiness, feel strongly about what you want to do. And don't worry about what the older or the younger generation are saying. Don't worry about your family. Don't worry about yourself. About what your friends. Focus on you and do what makes you happy, because that's where your happiness lies. Happy Sabbath, or whatever's left of it, everyone. It was good being here.
Thanks, Kathy. All right, Pastor, who's next?
I'd take Sister Joan, then Rochelle, then Nathan.
Okay. Yes, I want to say that I'm in the middle too, Kathy. Yeah, always have something you can fall back on. Okay, for those who are discouraged, I want to say to you that life is not always clouds. There is sunshine. And so God's love for you is greater than your love for yourself. Trust Him.
Amen.
That's my thought.
Amen.
Amen.
Rochelle?
Yes, just to add to that, for those of you who are like, it's taking too long, I don't know, why did I do this? I'm not motivated. You got this. You can do it. You will pull through. It's hard. As Sister Joan said, the clouds don't last forever. Rely on your God, even when you're doubting whether He's listening to you, He's there. God's not done with you yet. You can accomplish so much in His name. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. God's not done with you. No road is identical. Just continue on your path and know that you'll make it through. I have every faith in your ability to get this done.
Amen.
Amen.
Nathan, Mr. President.
I'd say don't be afraid to take a step back and rethink how you're going and how you're moving, and trust those around you. You know, like, take the advice of the people closest to you.
Thank you all so much for taking the time out to be with us this evening on Upsurge. Thanks, Kathy. I know her as Miss Hilton. I think she taught me in college for a second introduction to the helping professionals, something like that. Yeah. Sister Joan, Kathy, her daughter, I remember her when she was a little girl. Sister Joan, we worked together in the Bahamas. They were the education director there. Rochelle, right here at Meadowvale. Jadeja, right here at Meadowvale. This is Upsurge. Real people, real questions, real answers. This is Upsurge, where the surge is always up, and it's a wrap.